This is To Help You Heal, and I'm your host, Marie Monville. We are going to spend 10 minutes talking about healing. What kind of healing do you need? Is it in your mindset? Is it emotional healing? Is it spiritual healing? You know, there's a lot of healing that we all need, and this is where you're going to find it every week, 10 minutes on Tuesday. I'm so glad you're spending this time with me. Welcome to this week's episode of To Help You Heal. If you've been following along with me for the past few weeks, we are walking through a series focused on building a life that we love, even in those hard seasons. Because we can't just wait until everything is perfect or our ideal of what it's supposed to be to love our lives. We need to love them in the moment, even when there are pieces of them that we don't love. And so we've been talking about that these past few weeks. Our first week, we talked about surrender, and we talked about the difference in the mindset as we think about that word, that it's not about giving up, it's about more than that. And we talked last week about rewriting the stories that we tell ourselves. And this week, we're going to talk about gratitude, how gratitude shifts our focus and it supports healing. And I know it might feel like gratitude is this cliche thing, but it's not. It actually is a healing tool. And I get that our common reaction is just to be grateful in the midst of pain. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about forcing yourself to look for something that you don't even believe in that feels fake to you. But I want to talk about how we find gratitude without ignoring the hardship in a way that can then anchor us to truth and possibility. Because here is the truth. Gratitude trains our minds to look for the good, even when everything isn't good. It challenges us to see more than just what feels like the obstacle, but to find the little tiny things, maybe the things that feel ordinary, but those things that are still good right now. So let's talk first about what it does for our brain. Gratitude shifts our brain chemistry. And I don't know about you, but I hear all the time people talking about dopamine and serotonin and cortisol. So we're going to talk about how those relate to the brain and what gratitude does in those spaces. So let's start with dopamine. Dopamine is our motivation and reward neurotransmitter. It makes us feel good. And when we practice gratitude, our brain actually releases dopamine, that feel good chemical associated with motivation, pleasure, and rewards. And it encourages you to keep looking for things to be thankful for, which reinforces the habit. And it's actually creating this positive feedback loop. So the more gratitude you express, the more your brain wants to repeat it. A simple way to practice this is just to challenge yourself. Maybe set a reminder on your phone a couple times a day to think about 5 things that you are grateful for. And I'm going to encourage you to dig a little bit deeper than those standard things. I'm not talking about saying, oh, I'm grateful for a house to live in, or I'm grateful that I have food to eat. I'm not talking about those ordinary things that everybody can say. Think about something specific in your life right now that you're grateful for. Maybe you looked out your window this morning and you saw a cardinal. Maybe over the weekend you saw a rainbow. What is it that you're grateful for? Think about those specific little things and practice that. Make it a habit. As you cultivate those spaces and you're intentional with that, it's going to give you that boost of dopamine. It's going to help you feel good in the same places in your brain that are associated, again, with motivation, pleasure, and reward. And then let's talk about serotonin. So, serotonin is a mood stabilizer. It helps keep us even. Gratitude also boosts serotonin. It helps regulate our mood, it helps to reduce anxiety, and it helps us sleep better. Who has trouble sleeping? Most of us. Let's practice some gratitude before we go to bed to help us sleep better. Even just reflecting on something you're grateful for at the end of the day can help to stimulate that serotonin production. And this is especially powerful during hard seasons when that baseline of your emotions might feel depleted, especially if at the end of the day, you have this tendency to kind of replay or rehash or overthink stuff that's happened that's been hard that day or things that you're walking through in your life right now that are difficult. You can reset that, fall asleep, stay asleep better, have better quality sleep just by doing one simple thing, changing the thoughts you have right before you go to bed. Let's talk about cortisol. I'm sure you've heard cortisol mentioned in the news before or on podcasts and in social media, places where you exist online. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and practicing gratitude has been linked to lower cortisol levels. And if we have lower cortisol levels, it generally means a reduction in stress and anxiety. And again, the positive benefits of cortisol, a little bit like we talked about with serotonin, it's going to help you sleep better, but it's also going to give you more ability to focus. And it's also going to help you with some emotional resilience. Those things that we need in the middle of a hard season, that ability to bounce back, our willingness to stick along with the path that we're on. Resilience. Who doesn't need more of that? So, over time, practicing gratitude builds stronger connections in the prefrontal cortex, which is the area of your brain that's associated with decision making and emotional regulation. So, if you feel like you're a little bit all over the place, or your emotions, maybe you're kind of saying to yourself, my emotions are out of whack, or I'm all over the place, practicing gratitude is going to help build those stronger connections in your prefrontal cortex. And that means that your brain is going to default to a more positive interpretation and response to the general things that you experience in life. So, if you want to be a more positive person, if you want to feel better, if you want to think more clearly, become more emotionally resilient, you can do that just by practicing gratitude. Powerful, right? It doesn't cost anything. You don't have to wait for it to come in the mail. You can just start right now by practicing gratitude. And it happens when we're able to find the good without minimizing the hard things. You can be grateful and grieving all at the same time. We can have two vastly different emotions going on within ourselves. Gratitude doesn't cancel out the pain, it exists with it and helps to bring balance. And I've seen this in my life, in the places of difficulty, in the challenges, in the struggles, in the hard seasons that I've gone through. When I've been able to cultivate that space of gratitude, it really helps me shift to not just seeing the bad things. And I think about this so much when I think back on October 2nd, 2006. For those of you that don't know, my first husband was the man that committed the Amish schoolhouse shooting. And there were so many hard and traumatic moments in the aftermath of that day. But there was also so much that I had to be grateful for: the support of my family, the support of the Amish community, the people that were reaching out and sending me cards from around the United States and all over the world. There was so much to be grateful for. And by focusing on aspects of gratitude, I might not have known it in the moment, but when I look back, I know that it helped bring balance so that I wasn't just focused on the pain. I was also choosing to see the good, even in those places that were so difficult. So, if you want some simple ways to practice gratitude, you can start small. You can simply start with one thing every day. Great time to do this right before you go to bed. Think about something that you're grateful for and really just allow yourself to sit in that. Don't just give it this fleeting thought that goes through your head, but allow it to have some space. Name the thing. Think about it. Think about the moment of experiencing it and how it made you feel and why you're grateful for it. I think that why component is so important in every area of life. And when you're thinking about what you're grateful for, think about why it matters to you. Keep a gratitude journal. Just writing down 3 lines per day. It doesn't have to be filling a whole page. It can just simply be 3 things that you're grateful for. There are so many gratitude journals available on Amazon. I'm going to link one in the show notes that I like to use. It's not the same questions every day, but it is pretty simple and it gets you thinking. I like that because it just gives me a place to start. You can use your phone notes, or there are apps focused on gratitude with a recurring reminder that tells you, hey, it's time to reflect. It's time to embrace this space of gratitude. If you're somebody who has trouble remembering to do things like that, just put a reminder on your phone or download a free app that's going to remind you automatically. But I think it's so helpful when we create this rhythm, this place where we give ourselves the space to embrace gratitude, and it really does make us feel good. So, whether that's before you go to bed at night, or maybe while you're having coffee or tea in the morning, why not create this rhythm of gratitude? This space where you start to look forward to that opportunity to engage in it every day, and maybe even invite your family members or friends to share something with you, to share in this process. Text them, tell them what you're grateful for. Ask them to tell you something that they feel grateful for as well. Because the truth is, gratitude's not going to erase the hard stuff, but it's going to remind us that the hard stuff isn't the whole story. It's going to help us to see more than just those difficult moments. It's going to help us keep that balance in our lives. So, what's one thing right now that you have to be grateful for? Write it down. Think about it. Allow yourself to sit in that space. And then come on back next week. We're going to talk about how to choose purpose, choosing to live in our purpose, staying in that place, staying grounded in our purpose, being driven forward by that instead of just being tossed about by whatever happens in life. I hope that this episode has been encouraging to you. I hope you learned something new. Did you know that gratitude has such a profound impact on your brain that it's going to help you get that boost of dopamine, that it's going to give you that serotonin, that it can help you sleep better? I hope that you've enjoyed this episode and that you're going to find some spaces to really sink into this aspect of gratitude and allow it to become part of your life in a way that doesn't just make you feel good in the moment, but that changes you over time. We can love our lives even when we don't like all the pieces and parts of it, and gratitude is one way we can do that. Come on back next week. I can't wait to share the next episode with you.